Our opinions aren't too tough, rough, or gruff. We are proof that you don't have to be an expert to have an opinion. So just
Shut up and sit down.
This is Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff. This is Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff.
Let's go. Get started. Football's over.
Ka-chow.
I have my Daytona hangover. It's a good day.
Jim has his Daytona hangover at 8 p.m. on a Monday night.
Old Muff. I'm old.
It says a lot about Jim's Sunday. As you can tell from the sound effect, also joined by Alex,
That's me.
the real medical degenerate. In addition to Jim's Daytona 500 hangover, the football hangover has also arrived.
Yep.
Unfortunately, this one's going to last for multiple months, not a day.
Don't say nothing. Let's just let it just slowly pass over us and let's get through it.
Speaking of the football hangover, Jim has initiated a new segment, which is all about the NFL offseason, which only plays into the fact that we're going to continue to talk about football, even though football is not actively playing any games.
It's called denial.
Okay. I don't know which stage that is. What stage is that in the grief process?
I don't
It's
know.
early. It's early
Like
on.
we're
isn't
still
it?
at like stage one.
Yeah.
Stage one is like the shock.
Yeah. Now it's denial. We've got a while before we accept.
We'll accept on draft day, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I got my spring game tickets ordered for Ohio State, so I don't think I'm ever going to accept. I'm just going to keep chugging.
There you go.
Since we're recording on Monday for this Tuesday episode, we actually have an update on the Juwan Howard situation and what happened between Michigan and Wisconsin. So we'll talk a little bit about that and quick thoughts. The NBA All-Star game happened.
Did. There was, a couple highlights.
Couple things.
I'm glad we saw some highlights because I saw a bunch of jack poop on this one.
Yeah, I did not watch it, but this morning I was interested. So I, perused. Seems like LeBron hit a game winner. Steph broke the 3-point record. That's what I got for you. Giannis scored 30 points, I think, which made it like 28 and a half or something is his average in all his all-star games, which is like the highest points average.
All right.
So there were some little things that I delved into, but to sit down and watch the whole thing, didn't do it.
The dunk contest sucked. That's all I heard.
Yes.
That
Was
was
it Anthony Towns? Carl Anthony Towns won the 3-point contest?
Who participated?
I thought he won.
He may have. Like I said, didn't get into much of it. PGA players are talking about their stance on staying with the PGA or going to a Saudi league. Talk a little bit more about that and quick thoughts. Is Tom Brady really retired?
TBD.
Yeah, we'll see.
TBD.
To be determined, right?
That's it. TBD. Patrick Mahomes and his wife Brittany making headlines over the last week, and not for the best reasons, at least to the rest of the world.
Well, it depends on your perspective, right?
Let's say the rest of the world. And it was an interesting week for Matthew Stafford. A lot happened for that man and his family in a period of about 24 to 36 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More to
We'll
come.
get into it.
More to come on that. Anything else, gents?
Let's get going.
I think let's do it.
Let's get into the show. Right into it, Jim. Daytona 500 recap.
So, pretty quick and dirty with this one. Qualifying drama. Floyd Mayweather, his driver, made the cut just barely. And then with the race, he kind of was a headache in the race. He caused a caution when his tire flew off and drove past him.
Is it true that there's only like one lug nut or something?
One lug nut on these new cars. So you have to get it on.
Yeah, like if it goes, it goes.
That's part of the
You'll
stock.
have like 4 buddies helping you out.
Yeah.
That's part of the stock setup, you're saying?
Yes, it's they've changed the car so it's one lug nut, and if you don't get it on all the way, it will come off. So That was the first caution. Then he got too close to somebody and spun somebody out. He just was. He probably shouldn't have been out there, but he was. So good on him. We'll see if he qualifies for Las Vegas next week. I would imagine.
So the driver shouldn't have been out there, or
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
driver probably shouldn't have been out there. And the team, I don't think they're ready for the big time yet. But we'll see. Maybe it was just first race jitters. We'll see if Floyd actually shows up to Las Vegas. It's his home turf.
I was about to say, if there's a place for Floyd to show up, that's it, right?
That should be it. So,
You can tell that he was not confident in the situation. There was no discussion of him putting big money down on his own driver.
Yeah,
because he used to do that to himself all the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You got a note here you want to talk about?
Yeah, the race director for the Daytona 500 was, and I'm going to be a Jim here. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this correctly. Usain Hamilton.
Yes, you did good there.
He became the first black race director for the Daytona 500. So, in a year of Michael Jordan, Pitbull, Floyd Mayweather all having teams, it seems very fitting that NASCAR also did this.
And I will say, as far as NASCAR goes, you and I go back and forth on NASCAR, and
there's no back and forth. I just don't care.
Right. But the Daytona race highlighted a lot of inclusion. Busch Beer, making a giant push for women to get in NASCAR, donating a lot of money to the cause. What the first commercial that they shot right out of the gate was basically saying, "Hey, there's no women in the top league of NASCAR," and it was just black and white, no women. And then there was a pause, and Busch Beer's here to fix it, and they're gonna give money. And then throughout the race, they were doing giveaways, and the female drivers in the lower leagues were giving away Busch's money to highlight the women drivers. Hey, I'm a driver for Busch, and here's your chance to win some money. And it was like, wow, that's putting a lot of effort into it. They did a lot of cool things for diversity, and I said to Joe, NASCAR's probably one of the most forward-thinking and innovative sports right now when it comes to diversity, and it doesn't seem to be lip service.
Well, because it's going to be most apparent if they don't do something. If I'm being honest,
you're not wrong. I can't take that away from you. But if you look at the NFL and the measures that they're taking, and they're getting sued on the back end, you're like, is that lip service? If you look at the NHL, who, to your point, that would also be apparent. They're not doing a lot. The NBA, I think, is probably also leading the way. Can't really knock them. Baseball, good grief, what are they doing as far as diversity goes? I mean, I'm asking honestly.
I mean, if you're looking worldwide recognition, maybe one of the more diverse populations across the board, aside from obviously women, not a barrier that's been broken there, but
yeah,
you're looking at the international representation in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
That's very culturally relevant across the world. And that way, it's kind of, there's celebration, I want to say, a lot of time, especially if you're looking at the Latin influence, Jackie Robinson, there's things going on, I think, a lot in baseball. I just think a lot of it's commonplace because there's so much diversity throughout the sport.
I'll give you that.
I'm not going to say that they can't do more to be more, I guess, focused on these initiatives and promote them more, but baseball is also a day-to-day thing. It's not like they're focusing all week on one specific thing. It's just oh, there's baseball happening 7 days out of the week.
I was just very impressed with how progressive NASCAR has gotten for something that you would not have seen 5 years, 3 years ago.
Yeah,
very impressed.
It's been the last couple of years they've slowly shown positive change. Good on you.
As far as the car of tomorrow, the new car, the race itself. First off, the ability for the cars are made cheaper, and everybody, the ability for new owners like Floyd, or even smaller owners to get involved is very obvious. There's a lot of new faces, new owners. It's not just Rick Hendrick, Roger Penske, things like that. But the car of tomorrow has some issues. It wasn't as entertaining a race. The speeds were a little slower. You weren't seeing the 199s the entire race, close to 200 miles an hour. You were seeing 188s. So they were slower. When the front fenders got hit, they blew the hell apart. I mean, it was there, and that's safety. I understand. One car flipped over, and it only flipped over once instead of the barrel roll, which is great, good for the driver. The car seemed when it rolled over, it was like it didn't even look like it rolled over. You saw a little crunch, which was great. You saw car one wreck. You saw him hit the infield barrier, and it was like when I saw him running it, I was like, "Oh, here it comes! Oh God!" And then it was like they hit a pillow. So the safety measure on the car is great, but they've kind of slowed them down a little bit.
Which is probably why they're safer.
Yes, absolutely.
I was gonna say I cannot remember which driver it was at the end. Did like a big flip in the air.
Yeah.
And landed, and the whole time I'm like, man, and he just gets out and walks away.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
That happened to me in my car right now and not go well.
And I was looking through the field, and there is no Ryan Newman. He wasn't in the field. If we remember 3 years ago, he was the one that had the very similar to Dale Earnhardt wreck, and he walked away from it, and it was like, wow, we've learned a lot since Dale. And I was just reading, and it was the car of tomorrow was hurried up and brought forward because of Ryan Newman's wreck. And the wrecks that were happening yesterday, now as we record on Monday, you can see even more progress. And to me, I think that's crazy. All the safety things they do on these cars and how fast they can put them in is a marvel of modern science to me. Like the engineering that goes into these cars is amazing. So I thought that was
why
really
do
cool.
why do we only have one lug nut?
Speed, first of all.
Okay.
To make the pit stops faster. And then not to bore the listeners, but the rear ends are easier to be adjusted.
You said rear end.
Are easier to be adjusted. And it's just the way the rear ends are built, Muff. So the race is faster. Like
the rear ends built to be like squatting lower to the ground.
Yes.
Meant to be.
Yes.
Okay.
The cars.
Everything you just said about safety. How do we only have one lug nut? That's like.
I agree, but that's a giant lug nut.
Okay.
It's not just a tiny one. It's a giant lug nut in the center. It's more like a hub.
Okay, that makes more sense to me
right
now.
And it's to get the guys off the pits faster. The more they were out there, the more precarious situations they were in. Another thing is like the NASCAR race is supposed to be moving faster, even though the cars are going slower. You're seeing less wrecks, which is good for the viewer. NASCAR wants these races to be closer to football games than just sitting around watching baseball.
Not double overtime games.
Right. And you can feel that vibe was there. A lot of celebrities. Yeah, it was cool. As far as the outcome of the race, Austin Cedric won the race, held off Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace is second again. Second year in a row. This is Cedric's first win, rookie season. He's already made the playoffs with this win. That's crazy. So as far as the results go, Austin first, Bubba second, Chase Briscoe third, Ryan Blaney, which was Alex's bet, fourth place. Eric Almirola was fifth. He's retiring. That was his last Daytona, so good showing for him. Kyle Busch sixth. Michael McDowell seventh. That was my bet. Lost money there. David Reagan eighth. Brad Keselowski ninth. Chase Elliott 10th was my bet. My last two bets, Kyle Larson, last year's champion, was 32nd. He wrecked. And Denny Hamlin.
You deserve that. You deserve that.
I know. Denny Hamlin, 37th. He's a co-owner with Jordan of Bubba Wallace's team. As in Michael Jordan, not my wife. He was also one of my bets. He finished 37th.
Yeah. Good one. I had a thought. Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
As far as the playoffs go with NASCAR, just because I don't know. If you win the Daytona 500, are you automatically in playoffs?
If you win a race, your chances of being in the playoff. Like you're going to get in the playoffs if you win a race.
Okay.
It's like golf.
If
You win a
wanna get one
tournament,
each.
especially a major, then there's a
Yeah.
very good chance you're going to be able to coast into the later rounds of the FedEx Cup playoffs.
Correct.
You just don't have to. You just can't screw up all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said,
Gotcha.
I probably, for you listeners, this is probably the last NASCAR talk we'll have. I only watch this, and if I can, Talladega. I like the big ones where they can big wrecks. So, I like the new cars. It isn't single file racing the entire time,
Mhm.
which is boring. And nobody wants to see a train go around the track all day long.
I mean, yeah, but as far as the safety narrative, that's actually what they're looking for.
Yes. Yeah. So I enjoyed it.
Does something like this open up NASCAR if they can, I guess, shorten the race times, open them up to other things in the future as far as like race possibilities or like doing more than just going in circles all the time? Like, is there something else that can be added to a race?
I mean, they opened during COVID. They had a lot more road races,
Right.
which was great. I think you're going to see different places. Like last week when we did the Coliseum,
Yeah.
Mhm.
that
I
was
think you're
cool.
going to see more of that.
Okay.
I think they'll mess with the format of the championship like they always do. I think you're going to see more team drama as they figure out the new car. Because that was a big thing in the Daytona was they couldn't get teammates to hook up because the drivers couldn't figure out their cars yet.
Right. So yeah, Rubbin's racing, drafting, that kind of.
Yeah, they couldn't figure that out for anything. Fords could connect for a while. Toyota could connect for a while. Chevy couldn't figure it out for shit. And I think that once they do enough testing on this new car, it'll be a thing. The supply and demand, which is crazy, but COVID and car manufacturing in general has made this very hard for race car drivers. To wreck a car right now is serious business because there aren't a lot of these cars of tomorrow. So
Yeah.
that's going to be a thing. So I think this will get better with time. If they stay the course, hopefully.
All right. I get on board with this. Maybe at some point I'll watch some NASCAR.
I have some goals for us. I would love to do, a watch party with you two, and day drink and watch some racing. That'd be cool.
Fun.
So I honestly would like to do a bet situation where you can only pick a driver once all year.
So win,
Ooh.
place, show.
Survivor.
Yeah, like a Survivor League for NASCAR. We could do that one year.
Ugh, we'd all be out in week 1 potentially.
Probably.
Yeah.
We'd have to define that, like what's losing is losing outside of the top 10, 15. Like we'd have to define that really well.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
just the winner would be too hard.
The winner, we'd all be out in week 1 probably.
Yeah, like you said, it'd have to be like a.
But like we could do points on how, like, so if I picked Bubba Wallace and I would get X number of points, but I couldn't use him again.
Right.
That's
That
what I was
makes
gonna-
more sense.
That would be good because then you do that and like say he gets 20th place. So what do we say? Like 20 and up. So that would be 1 point.
Right.
Or if he gets second, I get 19 points.
We could do something like that. Something to think about.
Hmm.
So I have goals. I'm gonna get Muff to bite into racing a tad.
I'm trying for you.
Give me into drag racing because I think my attention span is
It's
better for
like
that situation.
Done.
But that's racing.
All right. Moving right into some additional talk. The final portions before we get into some of the off-season chat about the NFL. The coaching carousel.
Just keep spinning.
There's been some spinning, and since we've last talked about this, there have really only been 2 hires at the head coach position, and then a notable special assistant hiring from another team. So since we've last talked about the NFL coaching carousel, the Saints have hired Dennis Allen as head coach. replacing Sean Payton, and the Texans have hired former associate head coach for the Texans, Lovie Smith.
Did they really pull the trigger on? Okay.
So I don't know. Then the narrative around Brian Flores was circling, and then Lovie Smith was appointed coach. Granted, he was an associate head coach for that team. So I think that makes all the sense in the world if you want to keep things in-house with the Texans. I think the only thing amongst a lot of the outside world is, why would you want to keep anything going the way it had been going in Houston with some internal hires?
Yeah.
That's, I think, the biggest knock on this is, if it was a stable organization and they haven't had a lot of issues, cool, keep it internal because you've developed a good culture. Lovie Smith was part of the current Texans culture, and unfortunately, I think Lovie Smith has been set up to fail in this situation. If I'm being honest,
he's not a good coach either.
Right, he has not been strong. So give him a cluster muck of a situation. I can't anticipate that he's going to be able to right that ship very quickly. So I give Lovie Smith 2 years and he's gone again as far as head coach.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lovie. That's just what I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues with this. Like you said, promoting from within an organization that is not doing well. And I'm not a huge fan of Lovie Smith being a head coach anywhere.
So we have 9 teams here that had coaching situations. None of them picked Eric Bieniemy.
Whoa. We'll get there. The Steelers.
Did they take Eric Bieniemy?
No, they've hired Brian Flores as a special assistant on their defense and their linebackers coach.
Right, we're going to talk about that in quick thoughts.
Okay.
But,
well, that's a change that was part of this whole situation.
But
From
I'm saying we have 9 teams. None of them picked Eric Bieniemy.
Correct, which is a lot of discussion about that.
Was he playing hard to get? Sorry.
Sure. We'll move on past that. I want to know. We're just gonna act like Eric Bieniemy is not an option for my question.
Okay.
Of these 9 teams, who do you guys think is the winner, and who is the ultimate loser with the decisions that have been made?
See, it's tough for me to. I can do it as of right now, because some of these today, some of these moves could lead to players relocating in free agency to follow a coach.
Sure, so, but I'm saying right now.
Yeah. Right now, I'm going to say that the Saints are the winners because they promoted a solid candidate from within who was the stabilizing force on their defense, which has been a top 5 to 10 defense during his tenure.
Okay.
So there's some stability within that hire, even though Sean Payton's gone, and that's going to be a problem as far as continuing the culture within an organization that has been traditionally, when you're looking recent past, successful. I think that provides them the opportunity to continue that success without much switchover and turnover.
Okay. Alex?
Well, I'm between 2. We're not taking into consideration the possible of free agency following. Okay. Because I would say the Broncos, but I don't hate the Giants with Brian Daboll.
Okay.
I think that they have. I don't know when was the last. I was just thinking of it more. I guess I'm looking at teams like, okay, do the Giants probably going to benefit from an offensive-minded guy more than a defensive-minded guy, if I had to guess. Now, I also like the Bears pick because they took a defensive coordinator, and I think Bears, I think defensive team. I don't know. There's none that really jump out at me other than I think the Broncos taking Nathaniel Hackett was a smart move for the potential of what that means of Nathaniel Hackett going there. Who does he bring with him?
Okay. You good?
What do you think?
Yeah, Jim, what do you think?
I like the Raiders. I like everything the Raiders did. If of the 9, I understand, Alex, I think my second pick would probably be the Broncos. But of the 9, I'm going to go with the Patriots situation getting put into the Raiders. I
Even
understand
though,
ownership.
well, your ownership, number one, even though Bill Belichick's head coach tree has not had success.
I think that with the new stadium, with the foundation that the Raiders have already there, I think the GM and the head coach situation will produce results faster than any of the other 8 that we have on the board.
You heard it here first. Jim says David Carr is a top 5 quarterback in the league.
I did not say that. I just think they have good foundational pieces.
But do you see what I mean? I think this is like so hard to predict. Like who's
agree.
the good pick? Who's the bad pick? Because it's not like you watch all these players play all the time and you watch coaches coach, but there's so much going into it. And I think I've mentioned this before, like personalities. Like, does a fantastic coach can walk in a locker room and just based on the personalities and how the guys interact, they might not buy into his system.
Urban Meyer.
Exactly. Urban Meyer's he knows football, but he was not good for that situation.
Yep.
And that's what I mean. I just have a hard time sometimes judging this until I actually see a few games. But I know that it's easy to judge it because you've seen a few games. It beats the purpose of a prediction.
Now, before we get into the draft situation, are we going to say, I believe, I'll say it. I believe there's 2 things at play with Eric Bieniemy.
Mm-hmm.
Either there is a fundamental issue with Eric Bieniemy that we all don't know about, or he's holding out for something else.
I don't think he's holding out for anything. I think it's not like he's getting the quote unquote token interview all the time. He's getting extended interviews. Like he's getting follow-up interviews. There has got to be something in what he brings to the table from a vision standpoint of team oversight and team management that is not jiving or does not click. And maybe he has new ideas and new innovative ideas and people just can't get on board with what he wants to do, which is very possibly what's going on. But there's been some, you go in the deep dark web, you can find some discussion of Eric Bieniemy is one of those people that's just going to be doomed to be a coordinator his whole life because he maybe just isn't suited to be a head coach. And you find that out typically when those coordinators fail. And he's not even given the opportunity to fail. And I think that's the bigger issue that's come to light here is that how can somebody with this much success not at least be given the opportunity to fail when so many others before him have?
So I like to put myself in his shoes, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm him, I'm not going to go to the Jaguars. I'm not even going to interview with the Jaguars. No, thank you. I'm staying the hell away from the Dolphins, right? The Raiders pretty much had their pick in mind, so that's out. I'm going to stay away from the Texans. So that leaves the Saints, the Bears, the Broncos. The Saints job probably looked pretty good, but they were probably going to keep it internal. Is that what we're going to say?
That's what I was going to say. If you're just asking me the Saints job.
The Broncos don't have a quarterback for him.
Correct. No, there's not somebody who's you're looking at in the face. It's like, oh yes, this is our person right now. You have to find that person or develop that person.
So it comes down to the Vikings and the Giants. So yeah, I mean, if I'm him, maybe I do sit out.
But like Muff said, when he said like something like holding out for something, and like my point was playing hard to get, like, did it just become awkward in like that? Okay, like I'm just gonna push and push here, and they're like, hey, we're gonna jump on this other person, and eventually you get kind of wedged out.
I think that's what might have happened. Like the windows just weren't right for him this time around. I just can't imagine that he can't be head coach material. I can't accept that. Like I think he's a good coach.
I can accept it without seeing it first.
Right.
Yeah,
That's the opportunity to fail.
I do definitely believe that there are great coordinators, like offense coordinator, defense coordinator, whatever coach, that do not translate well into being a head coach.
Sure.
But you can't say that about him without seeing him do it.
Yeah. All right.
And this is my last piece on this, unless I have nothing to support this aside from just pure conjecture. Unless Andy Reid is doing more on the offensive side of the ball than any of us realize as far as strategy, game planning, and coaching.
Maybe. But
And maybe that's part of it that none of us realize, that Eric Bieniemy is the offensive coordinator for a great offense, but his role is minimized because of Andy Reid.
could be. Could
And
be.
are we in agreement that Lovie Smith's the worst coach of this situation?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Leads into the draft order.
Okay.
We'll just go top 10 and then any other thoughts we have. Now that we know who's won the Super Bowl and where everything falls, we now know the top 10. Jaguars 1, Lions 2, Texans 3, Jets 4, Giants 5, Panthers 6, Giants again at 7, Falcons 8, Broncos 9, and the Jets at 10. That's our top 10. The Lions have the 32nd pick, thanks to their trade with Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford, because the Lions were to get the Rams' first round pick, I think in the next 2 or 3 years, I forget. Anybody remember?
I don't remember.
I think it's at least the next 2, I think. I forget about the third. So the Lions worked themselves into the last pick of the first round, as opposed to hoping for a more middling pick, I would imagine. What else? There was a couple other things that stood out here. The Giants have 2 top 10 picks.
The Jets have 2 top 10 picks.
The Jets have 2 top 10
Are the
picks.
Jets and the Giants going to be good?
I saw a thing, and talk amongst yourselves because I'm looking it up, but a Jaguars draft trade situation that made a hell of a lot of sense. And I'm looking it up now.
Like an Eli Manning situation.
No, like they would trade that first round pick and get like 3 different picks. That makes sense.
So they would stock up on picks as opposed to top picks.
But their top picks would be and I can't find it right now, but the situation would be something where they would trade and get the number. It might be the Broncos. I want to say it's the Broncos. They would trade with the Broncos and get like pick 9, pick 36, and pick 40, and then next year get 2 picks.
Well, let's play this out, right? Let's think about it. The reason the Broncos want to trade up 1 is because they want to take a quarterback at 1. That would be
right.
That would be the thought there, because they anticipate the Lions may be taking a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
The Texans may be taking a quarterback. The Panthers may be taking a quarterback. Like, those 3 teams make the most sense to be taking a quarterback. Like, the Lions may be the least sense because they supposedly have a guy.
Right.
But I think we can agree that the Texans and the Panthers are looking for somebody. And you could even make a case that the Falcons are at least considering it, looking 2 to 3 years ahead.
There's a situation out there where they can trade with the Eagles and get the 16th, the 19th, a second round pick in the 2023, and a third round pick in the 2023. That was one I saw.
I would say there's a lot of draft grades coming out, and not a lot of them involve quarterbacks in the highly touted situation. So that's why I feel less likely that the Broncos are going to do something, because the Broncos theoretically could still get a top quarterback at 9.
If I'm the Jaguars, I'm shopping that first pick.
Yeah. What else? What are the Jaguars looking for? They have their quarterback. They have a viable running back.
Offensive line and pass rush.
That's what I don't know enough about the team to.
I mean, from my understanding, like, they need somebody to make sure Trevor Lawrence stays up, and they need to be able to attack that ball.
Oh, if they not seed, you don't have to have somebody like that. Joe Burrow made it happen.
Yeah. Joe Burrow is. I'd rather have Joe Burrow than Trevor Lawrence.
At this point, yes.
Yeah.
The answer to that is yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What else? What do we got? What
about the Eagles? 15,
That's
16,
what I mean. That, like,
19.
The Eagles could come up and trade with the Jaguars, and that's the move, right?
That's what I would
Who
do.
are the Eagles
Still
gonna
have.
take
What are
at
you
1?
losing if you lose 15?
Right. Who do the Eagles take at 1 though? That's what what are they trading up for?
Any quarterback.
Are they already swearing off Jalen Hurts?
They can have somebody in waiting.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a terrible idea. I just don't know.
I mean,
don't know
that pick quarterback
Pickett, yeah.
in Philly, it fits their scheme.
You know what
I
else?
mean, he's not the worst fit. He's not the worst fit to their situation.
Mhm.
Because right now he's graded as the top quarterback as of right now, correct?
I think so.
We'll talk later. We don't know if there's actually going to be a combine to figure this out, but
Right.
yeah.
And if the Philly were to trade 15-16 to the Jaguars, they
Mhm.
still have 19 sitting there.
Right. They still have a first round pick. I'd imagine
a
they try.
receiver for him to throw to.
Yeah, I'd imagine
That's
they'll
what I
try
was
to.
thinking for them.
Yeah, they'll probably try to draft. If they want to trade 2 picks, they'll probably try to get rid of 15-19 and hold on to something in that 15-16 range.
Well, I hope the Khan family's not that stupid. Give me 15-16 and you can have number 1.
Mhm.
Oh, they hired Urban Meyer.
Thank you. There was your softball. You're welcome.
Chargers, Jim, your team. What are you looking for in this first round? They have to make a pick. What are you looking for, position wise?
I don't know. I would DBs. I would say.
You're fine looking at the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. I mean, because I don't think there's a star running back that you go and snag with that draft pick.
Do you need a star running back?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about picking up that star running back. I understand we have one, but I'm all about getting it in
A
with
system.
the Chargers. Yeah. They're gonna get a linebacker or an edge rusher. That's what they do. But I would say DBs.
All right. Alex, what are you thinking for the Steelers?
Quarterback.
Yeah. Do you have to trade up to get that quarterback?
How many are there? How many are there drifting around? Do you think one gets to 20?
I think you get a top 4 quarterback to 20. I don't know if you get a top 3 though.
Yeah, but I'm okay with that. We always jump on these top 3 or guys. They're never the ones that end up good.
This is not a strong class though. It's been very well stated. This is not a strong quarterback class.
But what was Ben Roethlisberger drafted?
17, 16.
That's
range?
I mean, okay, 20 is a little farther down the line than that, but you know what I mean? You can get someone.
He was,
I don't know.
Was he the 3rd or 4th quarterback taken that draft?
That was a quarterback laden draft.
I know. He was like 4th in a class that may produce
it wasn't like Eli.
4 Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Yeah,
so.
Right.
Fine. Other pick would have been offensive line.
That's what you need.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay on the offensive side of the ball. We got a tight end. Line makes the most sense, and the Steelers have had success in late rounds getting good wide receivers. So,
do you need more?
Yeah, because we're gonna lose Juju, I'm sure.
That's what I'm saying. Their success has been in the later rounds with wide receivers. It's never really been in that first round.
Cool.
So I'm gonna hold on, hope that's going to continue some success in the later rounds. So I'm going to say offensive line. And then on defensive side of the ball, if I had to choose, I think we're getting closer to the time where I'm less enthused with Devin Bush at middle linebacker.
Yeah, I was reading an article today about will the Brian Flores switch be good for him?
Wish it could be.
Does he have that 4th year play? I don't know.
Let's see. But I mean, DB's not awful. Joe Hayden's getting up there, so you may look at a cornerback if you really want to start that replacement process. Interesting to see what Minkah Fitzpatrick does with Brian Flores in the fold. More to come on that later. So, any other draft thoughts?
We were all going to say the Bengals are getting an offensive lineman.
As your
third favorite team? As
your third favorite team?
And are the Browns getting a quarterback?
Where do they pick?
13th.
So I'm gonna be real honest. The Browns and quarterbacks and drafting,
Not great.
I want to say they probably need to pick somebody from free agency as opposed to drafting because the drafting hasn't worked.
I agree.
I just don't know what else to go for. That's the problem. Wide receiver. There's good wide receiver on the board. Maybe look there.
They got run game. They got tight ends.
I mean, maybe a good offensive lineman.
I was gonna say.
Who knows? We're gonna have a watch party for it, though. I know that much.
Yes.
We are Commanders. Bum,
Bum,
ba-dum,
ba-dum,
bum, 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 bum.
I still can't like see that and like make my brain make sense of it yet.
Me
Me
neither.
either.
Okay.
All right.
I'm glad we're all in that together. It'll take a little bit.
All right, we're just gonna bleed this right into the new segment, Jim.
Yeah. So the new segment we're gonna call the off season.
Creative.
So thanks, buddy. Listen, man. Muff's there's no breaks here, so it's not like we got a lot of time to workshop
We're just
things.
rolling through this one.
We are. I think it's good.
This is the stream of consciousness episode.
Alex, you're gonna read the points.
Okay.
But this time you get to have an opinion.
I like it. All right. So
Does
we'll
Alex get to have an opinion first, last, or do we switch out?
We'll just play it by ear. We'll
Yeah,
just discuss freely.
If you had a break here, we could have workshopped it, but now we're just
No, that's okay. We're good. We're rolling with
ripping
it.
and ripping.
We're rolling with it. The best things always come naturally.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, why does Alex have to play host?
Just
Can we
let us
not
be
all-
ourselves.
Can
Let us
can
be
we-
the best us we could be.
listen, if
Yeah,
you
we're
wanna be
gonna
the best
express
version-
ourselves how
If you
we
want to be
see
the best version of yourself, you can go to a Jesuit institution and learn how to do that, Jim.
All
You
right.
do that.
Point number one.
Can we all read points?
Sure. If you want to read some of the points, you can read some of the points. I'm reading point number one though, because I'm already ready.
All right. I just want to make sure we're all included.
The Rams parade was 3/4 of a mile long and didn't seem to have a large number in attendance. Is COVID to blame for this, or are the parades a thing of the past?
I think it's just because it's in LA.
There's too much other stuff to do.
Like,
But
the
it was
fan
on a
base is
Monday.
the fan base is not some big spectacular thing in LA. They're trying real hard. I mean, hell, they fixed the Super Bowl for them, but the fan base just isn't there.
Here we go.
Here's Jim. Keep on going back to the fixes in on the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
LA
I will
can't just be the best team in the league.
I will say, if you put that parade in Pittsburgh this year, it'd have been rowdy.
Yeah.
I think LA
Cincinnati
generally,
too.
LA isn't like, I mean, doing things in LA is not convenient for people, right? Like the travel in and out of LA is the worst thing in the world, aside from maybe, like Hong Kong, Singapore, or something like that. I don't know. So like, I don't think people are going out of their way on a Monday afternoon to make the trip in for a Super Bowl parade.
It's not that I'm just gonna pop over in town and
Right.
Check
You gotta
this
sit. You
out.
gotta sit in the you gotta sit in the highway for like 2 hours to get there.
in the hot weather.
Is it hot now?
I don't know. I feel like it should be. Isn't it always hot in California?
It's warmer than here, but I don't think it's hot all the time.
Okay. That's hot to me.
All right. Go ahead, Muff. Hit the next
Oh.
one.
Matthew Stafford is initially in hot water. It's maybe now lukewarm water. It could be cold water now, after he was caught on tape walking away from a media person, Kelly Smiley, falling off a post-parade speech stage. Wife Kelly did stay back, called attention to the situation as Matt Stafford looked like a person at the bar at closing time who sees somebody fall down the stairs is like, whoop, not my problem.
Been there.
So Stafford initially gets just drug on the internet and agrees with his wife to pay Kelly Smiley's medical expenses.
Stop.
Yes, stop.
Pause there.
Pause.
At that point,
Yep.
I go looking for the video.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all right, that's a bad look. You probably should at least checked on her.
Right.
I understand you're drunk.
The stage was like not like a fall off either. It was like, I think you fell off.
Yeah, it was a big drop.
Yeah.
Kudos to Kelly. Or
I was gonna say,
whatever.
if I look back, I'm like, oh, my wife's got it. We're good.
At that point, kudos to Kelly. She was staying in the job. She was looking. The wife goes and looks. But his reaction was not good.
No, not a
Did
good
he
look.
deserve to be drugged? No. Like, he deserved a little bit of flack, but he took a lot. Kudos to them for paying the medical expenses.
We think.
There was a GoFundMe for her that raised $43K.
Yeah.
She did break her back.
Right. This is a legitimate injury.
My neck, my back.
It was bad. Unpause.
And then past tweets from Kelly Smiley come out that are homophobic and racist in nature. And then she gets drug all over the internet in the Twitter sphere. And I think some people maybe not as excited as they initially were to contribute to that GoFundMe.
So, first off, Matt Stafford gets drugged.
Mhm.
I believe that then the Matt Stafford defenders did a deep dive on Miss Kelly who broke her back. And we're like, oh no. If we're going to dive on Matt Stafford, we're going to dive in on Miss Kelly. Now, do I think that that is necessarily fair? No. But you don't press send, number one, and you're not a racist asshat, number super one.
Super one. 1_1.
Right. So, like, I feel sorry that someone broke their back. However, you can't be a racist asshat and say homophobic shit. Not okay.
You most certainly can. It is part of your ability to do things.
Yes, you have the physical ability to do that, but if karma gods come up and bite you in the back, shit plays out.
Good one.
Are you saying, as the NBA saying goes, the ball don't lie?
Shit played out. Now, if I'm the Staffords, I'm still going to pay the medical expenses.
Right. GoFundMe. Feel like you do that. Like, it is what it is. I don't know if there's any take backsies in that situation.
I wouldn't even do the take backsies. But what I am going to send is a letter to Miss Kelly that says, hey, Kelly, maybe you should donate that GoFundMe since the Staffords are spending their money on you to, I don't know, things that promote inclusion and diversity.
That would be a little bit of a face saver.
I don't think you can come back from what was out there in the world from her past.
Well,
Twitter
you can
comments.
start doing good things.
Oh, you can start. But nobody's going to remember those good things.
Or something.
Remember those.
Promote people being their best selves. Create a pin, maybe.
Yeah, be yourself campaign.
Fair enough, Jim. Next topic, you.
The NFL hires a former Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, to defend in race discrimination lawsuit by Brian Flores. Joins Brian Karp, who worked for the league in many concussion cases. What do we see? Where do we see this going?
Number one, the NFL hires former Attorney General as part of the Biden administration, who is a black woman, to serve with the person who somehow has yet to be able to tie NFL play to concussion issues.
Yeah.
This is a super team for the NFL to defend against this. This is like people for tobacco for decades not being able to link tobacco to lung cancer. Like that kind of happened.
Yeah. And he got hired.
Yeah, he did.
Which we'll talk about here in a second.
Right.
I think this will result in a settlement.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be some settlement. The question is it just going to be with Brian Flores, or are there other people we don't know about yet that have jumped in on this?
What's the change that you see?
Oh, there'll be a hole because they're doing their own independent investigation.
Oh, yeah. The NFL's real good at those.
There'll be a whole thing of fluffy. This is what we're doing to change the whole campaign, and this will go under the rug. This will go away.
You're not wrong.
It will make me mad, but that's what's happening.
I got you. We go on the next one here.
It's sad that we're brushing by this, but yeah, I mean, that is what it is.
I think we're like used to it.
Yeah,
I didn't
which
say
is
that, but you know what I
sad.
mean.
But yeah, you're right.
The NFL has informed the House Committee on Oversight and Reform that Mary Jo White will lead the investigation into new allegations surrounding Washington Commanders owner Dan Snyder. White, a former chair of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, led the 2018 investigation into the Carolina Panthers owner Jerry Richardson, who was accused of workplace misconduct, including sexual harassment and the use of a racial slur by former Panthers employees. Richardson had decided to sell the team long before White's 5-month investigation ended. The league fined him $2.75 million after her probe found him at fault.
I believe that this is a more impactful development. I think that I think they're coming for Dan. I think we might see this might be the end of Dan in the league. I think.
I think you're right. I've thought that too. There's just too much. It just I feel like it just keeps pouring on.
Oh, we're going to talk about it a little bit more later. With old Jerry may not be in the best spot right now as well.
Do you agree?
That what?
That
this is the end of Dan? I mean, leave it to the government to have a slam dunk and screw it up somehow.
True.
Yeah.
So all I'm gonna say is you've just put this into the hands of politicians who, I mean, I'm not gonna say this is a big blanket we're putting over all the politicians, but influence, money, and things.
Okay, but let's break it down this way, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the three of us are owners, okay?
Right.
And let's say that there's a fourth owner named Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And let's say there's Bill and there's Tom. We got Tom.
Could it be Ted?
Yeah, Bill and Ted. Perfect.
They're going on an excellent adventure. That's the only reason I have that in my head.
Ted, he's got a lawsuit going over in in Miami over racism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're facing some bad PR and some government oversight on that over there in Miami.
Right.
In DC, we got Bill, who's got some sexual allegations on him. Also in the government, okay? Roger Goodell comes to us and he's like, guys, we got some bad juju going on with these two guys. Okay? I think we can save face in Miami. But the DC situation's getting out of hand, and Bill just keeps throwing the gasoline on the fire. What do you want to do? I think the three of us are going to be like, it's time to get rid of Bill.
Yeah.
This is an owner's situation. I mean,
right? Like, I think we're all going to vote. See you later, Bill. It was nice doing business.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Question is there an owner that they have in their thoughts to take over a franchise or an ownership group? Because I think that's the biggest thing is you can oust somebody, but if you don't have an ownership group lined up, then where's it go?
So let's say Roger, let's give Roger more credit than he probably deserves. What if he goes, I think we can kill two birds, one stone. We make the Miami situation go away by putting a diverse ownership group in DC.
I don't know if they, I mean, you're honest, I don't know if they place ownership groups. I understand the owners will probably be like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity for us. Like,
yeah, but you gotta think Jay-Z, LeBron, somebody's knocking on his door.
I've already talked about Jay-Z, and Jay-Z I don't see in
I understand, but there's got to be somebody.
Money team.
Floyd money.
That's what, see, the amount of money, I don't think a normal person, including me, can comprehend the amount of money that these owners actually have at their disposal.
I don't think it would take much to take over DC, and especially if it's an ownership group. If Roger's smart, he's getting that ownership group together, and it's got some diversity to it, and it's two birds, one stone. That's all I'm saying. That's what I would do if I was him.
I mean, I give the Raj a lot of credit. He's taken the NFL through concussion, through COVID, and
He's
somehow maintaining this at the lower level of the forefront of the world.
he's going to be worth that raise that he's going to ask for. So, let's move on. The Steelers hired Brian Flores. We've danced around this, which is cool. They've hired him. What do we think about that before we move on to the other Steeler move?
I like it.
Muff?
I mean, this can only benefit the Steelers. Like,
Absolutely.
there's no downside to this hire aside from does this create an issue with Minka Fitzpatrick, who's one of their top defensive players.
Why would it create an issue?
Brian Flores was in Miami whenever they had a difference of opinion, and Minka Fitzpatrick was traded to Pittsburgh for a first round pick. So there's discussion of will that be an issue in the locker room, because Brian Flores was mostly responsible for Minka Fitzpatrick being traded from the Dolphins. But can he really be upset? Minka Fitzpatrick, he went to the Steelers. He was not playing for the Dolphins anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna
That's
say
true.
really Minka won.
That's true.
Also, I wonder if that was part of if that was a discussion that was had by anyone. Like, hey, we cool?
That's true. I can't see the Steelers not making it okay.
Or Mike Tomlin saying this is happening.
Yeah.
We're going to do this. Minka, yeah, the standard is the standard. Mike Tomlin is like a one-line zinger.
Yes.
So the last Steeler bit of news, general manager, Kevin Colbert, what do you want to call him? Colbert gave former backup Mason Rudolph a vote of confidence. What say you, Yinzers?
Well, he was part of the draft of Mason Rudolph, so of course the outgoing GM is going to say this.
Yeah. The last thing I heard was that basically he said he's going to be the starting quarterback, but there will be a quarterback battle. What is it? Quarterback
between him and the D train?
For now, yes. I'm hoping there's a third quarterback. Yeah, hoping there's a third quarterback that goes into that situation. I'm hoping. I don't know who, but somebody else.
My money's on the D train.
Give me Jimmy G or Dougie, as Sam would say.
Dougie.
All right.
Dougie. The NFL and XFL have reached a partnership agreement that will focus on creating innovative programs and protecting the health of players. The XFL announced Monday.
So there's no player exchange. This isn't like a minor league, but they were willing to, I guess, exchange creative ideas.
This is how I see this. NFL says, hey, XFL, we're going to give you a little kickback in some way. Try out all of the things that we don't want to try out on the field, on your field. And if they work, we'll think about it.
Yeah, put this new helmet on and see if people get hurt.
Right.
If they don't, we'll use it. But if they do, we won't. Touch this electric fence. If it hurts, we won't touch it.
This is what I see happening.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we all saw it the same way.
Yeah.
And in return, they're going to promote the XFL?
I think they just probably get money.
Probably give them money so that they can continue to survive.
Okay.
That's my thought.
Plus, maybe the loose affiliation stirs up viewership.
Yeah, it could help.
Facilities, probably, you would think, right?
Potentially. I guess think that's probably 2 years out, because I think NFL stadiums are booked pretty far in advance, especially if there's like stadium tours and stuff like that. So, I mean, you got to think that you're a couple years out of really utilizing those facilities.
Gotcha. Alex, you're up.
I'm up. Rumors are starting to swirl that Tom Brady will return next season. The initial thoughts are that he'll be with the 49ers. Do you think Tom will suit up again in the NFL?
No.
I hope not.
Not this year.
Just right off the horse.
Again, I think he's suit up again just to say he played past whatever age.
If I were him, I'd go back to the Patriots, sign a 1-day contract, retire, and ride into the sunset. Don't stir the pot. Don't do anything that's going to make your legacy tarnished. Ride into the sunset. Because when we talk about Brett Favre now, what do? We laugh about the retirement thing.
I don't laugh. I loved it. You can laugh.
But do you know what I mean? We're not talking about the years and years of greatness that he had at Green Bay. We're talking about the in and out, in and out, in and out. I just don't. I would rather just see Tom Brady, if anything, sign for Patriots for sign with the Patriots for a 1-day contract. And yes, Jim.
I do not talk about the in and out of Brett Favre.
Okay,
that is not what
Got
I
it.
do.
Okay.
I like Brett Favre.
Okay.
Jim literally just raised his hand in the Zoom meeting, just so we're clear, to make that statement. You talking about like his you talking about his promotions, Jim? Like Tommy Copper, Wrangler?
Yeah.
I'm about to just read the next point.
Is he also?
You probably should.
Is he also somebody who promotes responsible cell phone usage?
Yeah. Thank you.
All
that's
right.
That's where I was headed.
All right. So next point, unless anyone has anything else about Tom Brady himself.
You're good.
Pat Mahomes and his wife Brittany were at a basketball game last week, and there seems to be strong evidence that it was a less than cordial outing between the two, and the internet's having a field day. Is it too much?
What happened? I missed all this.
They were at a Texas Tech basketball game.
Uh-huh.
They were apparently having a conversation, and old Patrick Mahomes had his hand like around the back of her seat, and appeared that a conversation happened and he was less than thrilled, took his hand off the back of her seat and kind of looked away, and then she looked away from him, and apparently had a conversation with a friend that was beside her, and it seemed to be mocking him in some way and making some odd faces. The internet took that and ran with it and was like, oh, this is another example of how she is just a terrible human being, and Patrick Mahomes, we don't know why you stay with her. And then they started bringing in Patrick Mahomes' brother again, being like, oh, they're ruining his brand and blah, 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 blah. It seemed to be, and then they came out later and were like, oh, we love each other. There's no problems here. And he's like, why do people have to be like this? So the internet did internet things. That's all I'm going to say.
I was going to say, this is the problem with the internet and social media, because I have conversations that my girlfriend irritates me at least once a week. I mean, minorly. Like,
my wife is a lovely human being.
Cut that out. I'm cutting that.
No, you can leave it. It's fine. She knows. And I do the same thing to her. Where we'll be somewhere and I'll say something and she's like, why are you such an a-hole? You know, and it's not like we're not mad at each other. It's not a toxic relationship. She might just roll her eyes at me and then 5 minutes later we're fine. So it's like, is this, you don't know, you're not in there day to day. Is this something that we're just, someone caught on video real quick, him like not loving a comment she made? I mean, I do think she's probably stirred up the pot a lot more than that. But I'm saying, I think in the day of social media and pictures of everything and videos of everything, we tend to over scrutinize.
I think we're all reaching for what is his thoughts on his wife and his brother. I think we're trying to figure out, like, what is the inside thought on it, because we all hate them vigorously, and any ounce we can get of insight will gravitate to. I think the internet did make this a giant deal, but like Pat just needs to be asked directly, do you like them acting like asshats? Like, can we get that on like a 60 Minutes or like a, Bryant Gumbel situation? Let's invite him on our show. Let's ask him ourselves.
Hey, yeah, Pat McAfee and Brittany. You guys want to come talk to on our show?
Pat McAfee? Pat Mahomes.
Pat McAfee, sorry, Pat Mahomes. I mean, him too. He's more than welcome as well.
I mean, yeah, he's
always
Pat,
welcome.
If you're listening, Pat McAfee, we welcome you also. Your wife can come on too.
Sure.
More than
All
married.
right. So next up, Cowboys settle a $2.4 million lawsuit with 4 members of their cheerleading squad from 2015 after a senior executive was accused of voyeurism after a team event, watching them undress in the locker room. What? That I forgot all about that. Same person, Richard
Dalrymple.
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 Yeah, sure. Was also accused of taking upskirt photos of Jerry's daughter.
Oh.
Why have we not heard more about this? What?
I found this and was like, how did we not know about this if this was a team executive under Jerry's leadership who did this?
How is he not buried somewhere?
Right?
Do you not want to bring more attention to it than you have to if you're a dad?
I would bring attention to it. He would be on a stake for all the others to know not to ever mess with me or my family again. Wow.
I didn't even realize this was a thing from the start. Like I forgot either whether I forgot about it or didn't even realize there was a cheerleading thing.
I knew about the cheerleading thing.
Mhm.
I didn't know who and what and where, but I knew there was a cheerleading thing. But wow.
Like, how is this not a name that we know more about?
Yeah,
Like, of
this is
everything else
bad.
that's been going on, what does this man do now? That's what I really want to know. Not that I expect you
Has
two
he
to have
been
answers for me.
seen since 2015?
Right.
Jerry makes him clean the TV off. The giant TV by a rope. Good grief.
I'm gonna look this man up while we're talking.
All right, so the last point in the offseason. The NFL sent a memo last week to draft prospects and their agents outlining rules for the combine, including a bubble that would keep prospects from interacting with their personal trainer, doctors, nutritionists, and agents while they're in the combine. Now, a group of 150 players and their agents are threatening to organize a boycott of key elements of the annual event. Thoughts? Alex, what do you think, buddy?
I mean, they've been around these people for all the time. Like, if it's my team, why all of a sudden now the combine's here and I can't be around them? Like, I was around them 8 hours ago, but now that I'm in the combine, I can't be around them. Now I get it if they want to say, hey, we're going to cut back some of the social events so we're not in these big things. We're like, hey, we'll have these social events, but hey, wear a mask or something, whatever. Okay, test before you come to the combine. But to say you're not allowed to have your personal trainer, your doctor, whoever, it's like, I mean, you've been around them this long. That's just stupid. Tell me the reasoning.
Yeah, I don't think they want these people to be involved. I don't think it's anything to do with COVID. I think they're trying to cut out the riffraff at the combine. I don't like it. I don't think they have. I think they're using COVID for ulterior motives. I think it's a joke.
Well, yeah, if I'm paying these people all this money, like to get to, the penultimate event of my recruiting, more or less. I mean, I get it that, your seasons, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The reason I hired you was to prepare me basically for this moment. And now they're saying you're not allowed to have them there. It's like, well, what did I invest all this time and energy into them and their programs for then?
Absolutely.
But I think to say, like, even if they said you have to cut back, like you can bring one doctor, one nutrition, you can bring 3 or 4 people. Okay. You can't bring a group of 10. Okay. Now more reasonable. But to say you can't be with any of them is just silly.
Yep. Muff?
This is silly. This is dumb. The NFL. Yeah, and thought. And Richard Dalrymple, I have nothing about what he's doing now. Spoiler alert. He was like the head of PR for the Cowboys.
That's why I had the
How is that possible?
How did he spin that one? Listen, Jer Bear, here's the situation we got going on. Your daughter,
Jer Bear.
Right? Like, how did you come up with Jer Bear out of nowhere?
Jer Bear, your daughter. We've all seen what you wear sometimes. I'm just saying that maybe, Jer Bear, it's cool. It's cool. Just listen, it's cool, Jer Bear.
Oh.
I'll admit that I did that in the locker room, but Jer Bear, not your daughter. Not your daughter.
Good grief.
And the NFL didn't even investigate that. The NFL's like, no. This is a
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing.
This is a Cowboys thing. Figure
Is
this
the
one out.
NFL about to be this league?
I think
We
NFL's
just did
been
a
this
whole
league.
like 30 minutes on them, so yeah.
If it's not this league, it's that league.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's crap. This is Quick Thoughts.
We'll start in the NBA. The All-Star game. It was.
Who cares?
I touched a little bit on it in the beginning. can all say who cares.
Yeah, I mean,
They play to a point number.
what?
They played like 163 or 164 points. Like that's how LeBron hit the game winner, is because the first team to X points wins.
Really?
Yeah, in
And
the
their
All-Star
quarters?
game. I think they have some quarters. I don't know.
Like
I
you
didn't,
run
I
out
didn't
of
watch
time.
it.
Like is it one or the other? Like either you hit this number first or time runs out.
I don't know. I think you have to hit the number.
I should have paid more attention.
I didn't watch it.
Me neither. All right. And moving on in the NBA world, my last year will be played with my son, LeBron James says. Wherever Bronny is at, that's where I'll be. I would do whatever it takes to play with my son for 1 year. It's not about the money at that point.
Muff, I'll let you go first.
All right.
What's the question?
What do you think about that?
What do you think about it?
I would love to see the situation where Bronny ends up in like the worst city for basketball at the time. He ends up in, here you go. LeBron James Sr. has to relocate to Toronto for a year. That's what I want to see happen. I want to see him have to live in Canada so that he's in like the Siberia of the NBA and nobody cares about what's going on in Toronto.
But do you think that's going to happen?
No, I don't think it's going to happen. I want to see that happen just because I want to see how the NBA plays that situation. It's like, oh, we don't really care about Toronto unless they're good. So what are we going to do? And it's not in the mainstream of the United States NBA talk. So that would just be, to me, the ultimate exercise in how can the NBA make this relevant.
I think they end up in Cleveland. That's my thought.
Does it add draft stock to Bronny thinking I'll get LeBron for a year?
4 years? Where's he at? High school?
Yeah.
4 years from now? Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I'm not going to say LeBron's not going to still be a potentially valuable piece to a team, but he's not going to be the number one option.
I think you're wrong.
4 years from now?
Yep.
What? 41?
Might have knee swelling.
I just don't think his body can hold out for that long. It's not like Tom Brady where he's the quarterback and he doesn't have to run. Basketball, you have to be physically tip top in all levels at all times.
He will be eligible in 2 years, Muff. 2024.
38, 39. I can't think of a whole lot of 38, 39-year-olds that have been at the top of the NBA. I'm not going to say he's not going to be a valuable piece. There may not be some stock there, but not as much as I think we all want to expect.
Moving on to hockey talk. In the NHL, we have Sidney Crosby, scoring his 500th goal last Tuesday, joining Alex Ovechkin, as the only other active player at 500 plus goals, and one of only 45 players in league history who has done that. Who is on your Mount Rushmore of NHL players? Jim.
Gretzky.
Okay.
Lemieux.
Okay.
I would say Crosby.
Okay.
Messier.
Mark Messier.
Yeah.
Muff.
I got Gordie Howe.
Oh, good
Gretzky.
one.
I'm not going to say Sidney. As much as I want to say Sidney Crosby is there, I mean, until he retires, it's tough for me to put him on that list. And yikes. Jaromir Jagr, just because longevity.
Yeah.
So you said your third
Lemieux. I guess Lemieux's on there too. If I got to put Jagr, Lemieux's on there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say you can't really leave Lemieux off of that to me.
I think Jagr has more points in his career than
He's played forever. I mean,
I
he
know.
might still be playing in Russia somewhere.
I think he is. Or did you say or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of people who could also make an argument for.
Mm-hmm.
Next up.
Dominic Hasek.
Yeah.
Stevie Yzerman.
Yeah, there's a couple.
We're getting down a rabbit hole now.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to golf. Muff's favorite, Jim's least. Many questions circling the PGA top pros regarding their interest in joining the Saudi League, which has been rumored and has the backing of Greg the Shark Norman. Reports indicate that this league will have the backing of Saudi general funds in the hundreds of billions of dollars range. Do you think top players will make this jump? Muff.
Most top players at this point have said they are loyal to the PGA Tour, and I think a lot of this has to come with the details on this league are so scattered that nobody knows exactly what it is, aside from Greg Norman's involved. The Saudi Arabian government general funds are going to be at the will of this league, but there's no discussion about what operationally is going to happen to make this all go down. It would be a part of the Asian tour, which is not, if you're looking at the major tours around the world, not one that people affiliate with anything. So really the only benefit to PGA Tour players is money. And at that point, you don't even know if it's going to consistently be there. I think there's been rumors that certain players have been offered 100 million plus to defect from the PGA to this league. But even then, nobody has said like, yeah, I'm going to do it, because there's just so much that's not known about what this could be is moving forward. And there've also been some discussions about is the source of any of this money of concern, as far as how all that money came to be in this fund.
Jim?
I think they should do it. Wait, let me back up. I think that they probably will do it. I mean, there's pro wrestling in Saudi Arabia. They just had one this weekend. And there are guys like Bill Goldberg. Damn, they almost got The Undertaker to come out of retirement. Guys that are like 50 and 60 coming out of retirement for that Saudi money. So pro golfers at the top of their game getting offered $100K to golf.
100 mil.
Oh yeah, 100 mil. I'm sorry.
No, 100K means nothing
no.
to the professional golfer.
100 million to go golf. I can't see them not doing it. That's just me.
Phil Mickelson was one of the first that came out and was trying to leverage this for the PGA Tour, against the PGA Tour, and he has since not talked much about it. So I gotta think that the PGA Tour is like, go ahead, Phil, go figure it out over there.
I mean, I'm sure there's logistical issues, but like, we could go down a whole WWE rabbit hole. Like, they kept Vince McMahon and his plane at the airport for like 4 hours, 5 hours. You know what I mean? Like, you can't fly because you made us mad. You didn't do something. I'm sure that could happen, but $100 million.
Yeah, I think I'd stay at the PGA Tour from them.
At that point, I think they own you. And I think that's the problem that's coming to be here.
Yes.
We'll see.
Jump into college basketball. Into the
Jump away.
Jump around. Juwan Howard and a Wisconsin assistant get into a kerfuffle after their game on Sunday. Howard ends up getting a 5-game suspension for the rest of the regular season. Do you think this is fair based on what we know? Jim, you love Michigan. You start.
I saw the video of it. I don't understand. I need it explained to me, because all I saw was he tried to just give a handshake and keep walking. And the Wisconsin guy looked like he was in the wrong to me. And that's an unbiased, didn't know what was going on, Twitter video of the handshake exchange. So if I missed something, I don't know what Mr. Howard did that was wrong.
First, Juwan Howard said, "What did the 5 fingers say to the face? Slap." That's what Juwan Howard did. It wasn't even a punch. Let's be real honest. So to break this down a little bit for you, Jim, at the end of the game, Wisconsin was up about 15-ish points. It was in that 12 to 15 range, I think, and had their backups in. Michigan still had their starters in. There was, I think, between 10 and 15 seconds left. Mm-hmm. And Michigan was doing full court press on the Wisconsin backups. Wisconsin backups got the ball in, weren't going to be able to get the ball over half court before the 10-second violation came up to get it over half court. So Wisconsin assistant called a timeout because by rule, when you call that timeout, the 10 seconds to get the ball over half court resets, which means that all they had to do was get the ball in bounds and the game was over. So that was what Juwan Howard apparently took offense to.
It's just stupid, but go on.
And the story goes that the reason the Wisconsin assistant was walking by and Juwan Howard was about to shirk his handshake, and the Wisconsin assistant, again, what's being said is he was trying to explain to Juwan Howard why he took the timeout, and it didn't look like Juwan Howard was having any part of the conversation for whatever. I mean, he's probably just pissed. They just lost. Like, they're at this point not relevant in the Big Ten. They're not relevant in the national title picture at all. They're going to be lucky to make the NIT. So Juwan Howard's pissed, and I get it. And I think the Wisconsin coach, I think Juwan Howard was wrong for some of his reaction. I think the Wisconsin head coach was wrong for trying to make his point so boldly when it didn't really matter. Like, he's pissed you called a timeout. You're pissed because he was pressing you. Let's get over this. I don't think it turned into more, I think, on every angle that it needed to be. That's what I think.
I heard the last article I read about it. We had like some like whatever soundbite type things from whatever, the video, whatever. And I guess what they said happened was Juwan Howard says, I'm going to remember that shit. And the head coach from Wisconsin got a little lippy and I guess kind of like pushed him in his chest. And he was like, keep your hands off of me and whatever. And then I don't know what happened with the assistant coach and what he said. But at that time, shortly after, he said, get your hands off me. Keep your effing hands off me. Something the assistant coach said, whack. So realistically, Juwan Howard didn't initiate contact, but he initiated like swing.
I don't see a problem.
I don't see a 5-game suspension problem.
Calm down, Bobby. Calm down, Bobby.
I see a problem. I see like a maybe one game that wasn't nice of you boys. Calm down. But it's not like anyone got like, no one like knifed anyone.
I wouldn't be upset with him if I was Michigan.
So what I saw, and this is in the aftermath of all of this. So I saw players throwing some hands.
Now
that's where, not that I think the players at this point, because the players didn't initiate any of this to start. The players were just trying to get in the middle and do whatever. I'm wondering if Juwan's taking some of the backlash for some of that as well. Like,
he is supposed to be an example.
Right. The players got involved in this. Juwan, like, there may be some mea culpas on both sides here, but you're the one that initiated some real physical, I'm not gonna say violence because it was a slap, but some real physical contact, like some intentional physical contact that may have been meant to hurt somebody.
I'm gonna leave him be.
So keeping in the college sports realm, but moving on to the football world, reports are saying that the college football playoff will remain at 4 teams throughout the current contract that runs through 2025, making 2026 the first year for possible expansion. Is this the right move?
This is the dumbest shit.
It was Muff's turn, but I'll let you go, Jim.
The dumbest shit. I'm so mad at this. They are so scared of losing control that they can't see the forest for the trees here.
Muff, thoughts?
So who's in the power position here? Is the college football playoff or is the NCAA?
I mean, you got to have all the teams willing to participate, right? And if the Pac-12 and the Big Ten and everybody says, "Nah, we're not going to do it," who does that leave? You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like, is this the first step in the college football playoff, saying like, all right, let's start developing this plan where 2 years from now we're working with these Power 5 teams of note and we're going to start breaking away. Like, they're dumb enough to say, let's move this for 4 years before we want to talk about it again. is this the college football's time to really start putting together a true breakaway plan?
I think the NIL situation is what scared everybody off.
Okay.
They're hoping for a government intervention and for that to be shaken out. And that's why they're kicking the can down the road.
Weren't they basically saying, like, let's fight one battle at a time?
Yeah. And I just don't. You're going to miss out.
Let's get a government oversight committee on this.
Well, that we had that.
I know. Well, for NIL, yeah.
And I just don't. They're never going to get to a clear-cut fix on this.
All right. Gong. Horse racing. Horseback riding? Medina Spirit was stripped of the victory in last year's Kentucky Derby, and Mandaloon was declared the winner after a ruling by state racing stewards on Monday. Muff, would you like to start?
Medina Spirit is dead.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Medina Spirit. Died after training in December.
Should we not talk about posthumously?
Posthumously? You waited till after the horse died.
You didn't even let him defend himself.
Yeah, the horse had the right to defend himself in the situation. What's the deal? And Jagaloon steps in and wins, or whatever the poop is. Jagaloon. Yeah, that's what I said. Like I said, booby traps. Why? I just at this point, does it matter? The owners still get the Medina Spirit, still get the probably the stallion fees or the stud fees of everything that goes into this, don't they?
No.
The horse still won.
Yeah, but he got blackballed. Major blackball.
Yeah, but if they already paid the money, does he have to get back and repay back?
I'm not sure that he got any. He couldn't stud, I don't believe.
Nice.
Also dead,
but I mean, I'm pretty sure if the timeline's right, he won, then they tested him, then the race was called into question. It wasn't he's the winner, let's start breeding him. That's not how that went.
Can we talk about never mind, it's inappropriate for the podcast. Go on.
And now he's Bob Baffert or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
He got fined all to hell. This is the second horse in 146 races to be disqualified.
Bob Baffert has a history, right? We've talked about that before.
I mean, I think he should be expelled. Expelled. Never to be allowed to race in Kentucky again.
Or anywhere, or just Kentucky?
I mean, Kentucky. I'll go Kentucky for now. Till he gets caught again.
In another state?
Because, I mean, let's face it, it's suspect he might have caused this horse's early death.
Do you think, was it a injury that then the horse got put down, or did it collapse?
Collapsed post-workout in December.
I mean, if it's on roids, could have an enlarged heart or something.
The world will never know because that's under their control.
Didn't Secretariat have an enlarged heart?
I just think that this is bad juju.
All right, I'm gonna go on horse talk there and wrap up quick thoughts.
Horse talk.
I didn't take any. No points were revoked or rewarded. But Muff or Jim, you are getting a brief warning for taking Muff's turn.
I apologize. Muff.
I know. I didn't feel like it was a serious an allegation or a serious enough deviation. That you deserve to lose a point today.
I mean, you weren't
it wasn't malicious.
Richie D hanging out with Jerry Bear talking about photos that he took.
Yeah, I looked at the intent.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Stop. We don't need intent coming in any conversation involving Jim.
You know what I appreciate, Alex? You're letting me be my best self.
I agree. Be you.
Be you.
And that wraps up another episode of Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff. As a reminder, you can follow us on the socials at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and Twitter, Sports Stuff W/Jim Ampersand Muff on Facebook. Get into the YouTube, find us, subscribe, rate, comment, do all the things, engage with us on the social media.
Do it.
Do it. And as the saying goes, tell a friend, make a friend, be a